how do you know? So I'm going to go through 3 main criteria that I want you to evaluate. And then from there, if, depending on your answers, you feel like you are ready, then I'm going to give you 5 specific steps that I want you to follow in order to become more ready so that when you're able to hire somebody, you're already prepared, you already know what you need to do, and then you can just go about hiring somebody. So if you're brand new to me, my name is Susan McVeigh. I'm a married mama of 2 and a business sales and wealth strategist. And here on this channel, we talk about all things business and entrepreneurship, which includes money, sales with faith and family thrown in the mix because I am a real person who has life going on. So that's where I usually draw my examples from. Before we begin, I'm going to pray and then we can get going. So remember, as a reminder, this video is for you if you want to know how to know when you're ready to start hiring inside of your business. And I'm going to give you some strategies, some help, and some tactical, practical ways that you're going to be able to implement this inside of your own business. I'm going to give a shout out to Cool Goku, a question that he had asked last night on yesterday's video. So, Father, we just come to you in the name of Jesus, and I humbly ask for your help, your assistance to help me as I share this message, and that whoever needs to hear this, that you are here on purpose, for a purpose. And my prayer is that you're going to receive exactly what it is that you need to know in order for you to be able to move forward. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. So, how do you know? Now, before we begin with the 3 questions that I want you to evaluate, the only one who can answer this is you. And so whether or not you're working with a coach, a consultant, an expert, a mentor, your own personal advice from somebody else that you have received, the reality is that only you will know for sure when it's time to hire. And most of the time, when we make these decisions, it is past the point where we actually need to hire. So my goal for you is that by watching this, you're going to be equipped with the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding that you need in order to make those decisions such that when it is time, you know what that looks like. Okay? Hello, welcome. So as a reminder, in case you joined late, this video is all about how to know when you're ready to hire someone. So if that doesn't call to you, then you can go. I bless and release you because it's a beautiful Friday afternoon where I am in the world, and you probably have better things to do than to sit on a video with me talking about something that you have no interest in. Okay? Now, if you're a business owner and you're not yet ready to hire someone and you already know that for sure, then maybe this is the video that you save and come back to once you think that you are ready. Okay? Ali, yes, you can go ahead and ask a question. I will answer them at the end for you. So please don't think that I'm ignoring you. I just want to make sure that we get through the content so that people who are going to watch this on the replay, they have it front and center. And then if I can answer you, and I reserve the right, because this is my channel, to answer, or I might pick this back up and add it on to a future video, which is how this particular video was birthed. Okay? So feel free to add it in the comments, and then I will attempt to address them if they make sense, and if I can add value, and if I want to, because it's my life and it's my channel. Okay? So here are the 3 things that I want you to evaluate when you're pondering, how do I know if I'm ready to hire someone? So again, remember, only you can answer that. So the first thing I want you to decide or be able to answer is most of your time being spent doing things inside of your business on the things that you don't enjoy? Okay? And I want you to start writing those things down. Now, that's going to feel like a pain in the butt, but I promise you that if you do this upfront work, when it comes to time for you to hire someone, it's going to help you in leaps and bounds. Number 2 is If you think about the amount of time that you're spending inside of your business, in order for you to make more money, do you have to spend more time? Because some businesses, you cannot remove the human element. Like, sure, you can automate, sure, you can use technology, sure, you can use systems. And we talk about this on yesterday's video. So if you're struggling right now to make more money without having to spend more time, I want you to go and watch that. Okay, you're gonna see it on the channel. It'll say how to make more money with less time. So we're gonna break down some things. And then the other video that I'm gonna recommend that you watch is the 80-20 rule, because oftentimes we're spending a lot of time doing things that really don't move the needle, that they aren't gonna make the biggest and significant difference in terms of your bottom line in your business. And if we eliminate those, then you're gonna free up time, which then will allow you to spend that time on the things that matter the most, right? And or including your life, because that matters the most out of everything. So if you have a business where in order for you to keep making more money, it's going to require you to take more and more and more time, at some point you're going to get capped out, right? Like, I don't have any more hours to give. I'm already working X amount, and that is as much as I am comfortable working. So if you cannot see another way for you to make money right now in your business because you don't have more hours in your life to give, and you keep hitting a glass ceiling, then there is a potential for you to hire someone. Okay. Hello, Daniel. The third question that you need to answer is, have you hit a personal cap in your skills around the thing that you want to hire for? Because if you don't have an idea of who you would hire and why you would hire them, then you're literally just throwing money away. I don't want you to do that. Now, hiring somebody can be probably one of the most lucrative things that you can do in order to grow and scale your business. But oftentimes people just hire because they're told to hire, and then they're spending a lot of money. They are now managing people, which I'll tell you, doing the thing that you do and managing people to do the things that you want them to do are not the same skill set. And most people fail miserably because if you're good at doing something, you do not know usually how to manage and lead people to do the thing that you were doing really well. And you get frustrated because maybe they're not doing the thing as well as you would like, certainly not the same way that you want it to be done. And so part of your management and leadership abilities are going to be you letting go of control and understanding that how they get to do it might need to be how they get to do it. Now, again, if you watched yesterday's video, which is all about how to make more money with less time, systemizing your business is a key part of you being able to take back your time, even when you're hiring people. Because you don't want to be putting out fires with people who are doing things like 5 million different ways simply because you haven't taken the time to systematize things, to put processes in place, okay? So those are the three things that I want you to evaluate. Number one, if most of your time is being spent doing things that you don't enjoy, because at some point your business is going to become like a jail, right? Like a job, because you're spending so much time putting out fires, doing all the things that when you start to build a business, you do have to do all the things. You're the one responsible for selling. You're the one responsible for marketing. You're the one responsible for your finances and your operations and your client delivery and, doing all of the pieces that nobody really talks about because frankly, they're not sexy, right? Like getting another client, making another sale, seeing money roll into your bank account. These are all sexy things that people like live the laptop lifestyle, and I'm selling the dream of I get to go vacation whenever I want. Yes, and I also still have to make sure that people get what I sold them, right? That I have to deal with customer inquiries and or requests for different payment options or whatever it is the case may be. So if the majority of your time is being spent doing things that you don't enjoy, which for most service providers, that includes the marketing, the selling, the promotional stuff, the operations, the financial stuff, there's certain things that you will not be able to outsource immediately, But I want you to just pay attention, because only you can decide at what point do you start to hate doing what you do because it's wrapped in all of the other stuff that you cannot get rid of immediately, but could be served by somebody else doing it for you. Okay. Number 2 is the hours that you're spending. In order for you to make more, it requires you to spend more time in some way, and you don't have any more time left to give. Okay. So this question was presented by Cool Goku yesterday and essentially said, Susan, for the last 5 years, I basically have made the same amount. How do I know when it's time for me to hire someone? And rather than answering on yesterday's conversation, this is such a big topic that I said, let me answer this for you separately. I'll do that today. And that's what we're doing here. So if you're spending more time and it's not resulting in more money, then we need to look at why and how can we enhance the experience of you as the business owner and your customers as well, because that's how your business connects together, right? You make money because people pay you. And if people aren't getting what it is that they want, or you're not being able to free up some time so that you can get what you want, which is to live your life, then there's a disconnect. We don't want to just keep having you work harder and harder and more hours if it's not fruitful, if it's not actually going to result in something that allows you to live the life that you want to live. The third thing that I'm asking you to consider is if you have hit a personal skill cap. And that means that when you first start your business, you do have to learn all the things. You're going to have to learn how to sell, because without sales, you don't have a business. So you may not have thought that that was something that you had to learn, but I guarantee you when you start in your business, you're going to figure it out pretty quickly. If I can't not sell, then I will not survive. And so that is probably the most critical skill that as a business owner, you're going to hold on to the longest. It's the most tempting to let go of because frankly, most business owners don't get into their business because they love to sell. They love to do the thing that they do, which is the end result, right? Helping the people get the thing, right? If you have a personal skill cap, what this looks like is that you've learned all you can learn and you don't want to learn no more. You're like, the amount of hours that I would have to spend to learn this in order to create an incremental move is not worth it. That's when you know, okay, you're probably better served handing this off. So as an example, when I helped one of my clients, and she had built a very successful online coaching consulting course-based business. She had online programs and she had already had a proven sales process, right? She had lead generation on autopilot. And that meant that she knew that if she turned on the engine, that for every lead that would come in, she would get X amount of calls booked. Out of X amount of calls booked, for her number was 20% conversion. So if she had 10 calls booked on her calendar, 2 of them would buy her high ticket offer, her premium group program. And then the rest, they may or may not, which was fine. For her, that was good. She did not want to spend more time selling. She really wanted to spend more time. She had a busy family and she was trying to expand her family. They were looking for their dream house. So there was a lot of stuff going on in her life that meant that, just like you, she wanted to spend more time living as opposed to having to create the front end of her business. So although she could have learned more in terms of selling, because 20% is good, but it can be better than that, right? Especially when you're the one who's selling, because you have a direct connection with your business. You are the ones that coming up with the ideas. You have the energy, the intention. You have the innovation, the passion, the drive, right? It's part of your pursuit of your purpose, hopefully. And so as a result, you're the one that's most closely connected to your clients, regardless of the skill level, except when you hit this cap. So for her, in order for her to go from 20% to 40%, 60%, or even 80%, right? Because this is what I teach when I'm working with clients. She did not want to learn it. Because I said, okay, client, you can either do this and learn it and improve your skills so that we can double your conversions, so that the same leads that you're getting out of those 10 calls, instead of only signing up 2, we could sign up 4 or 6 or even 8. And she said, you know what, Susan? I don't want to do that. I literally don't want to learn more. Not that. This is the area that I want to focus my skill set in. And so I know that I'm potentially leaving money on the table, but I don't want to do this. And I said, okay, great. So then she said, will you help me hire someone? I said, yes, I will. And in the interim, I helped her to sell. Now, inside of my own business, I easily will convert 80 to 95%. I've had clients sell 100% in terms of conversion. And I know that there are lots of sales experts out there that will tell you that when you have a super high conversion rate, you are leaving money on the table, because if you're not hearing no's, then your prices are too low. The reality is that may or may not be true, but you get to decide what is or isn't your benchmark for success. Okay. So I'm not going to be the one that tells you like you have to have a super high conversion rate, because again, like this client, it may or may not make sense for you. But the benchmark for you is to know, do you want to keep going and learning in this skill, or would that time, that effort, that energy, the money potentially that you're going to use in order to grow in that skill, would that be better served redirecting that to something else and then hiring a salesperson as an example? Okay. And you don't always have to hire a salesperson. It really depends on how your clients want to buy. What is the mechanism that you want to design, right? Everybody's sales process can be fully customizable based off of your customer base, based off of their customer journey, and based off of how you ultimately want people to engage with you such that they purchase your products or services, or the type of offers that you actually have available to sell. Make sense? Okay. So once you have those 3 answers in mind, right? Because I can't answer them for you. You have to answer them for yourself. And that might take some time for you to just fully evaluate. But I also want you to encourage you not to overthink this. Kind of go with your gut and see, like, what are those answers that are showing up for those 3 specific criteria that I want you to evaluate. So once you know the answer, because it may shift and change, which I fully expect and anticipate that it will, how quickly, I don't know. But the actions that you want to do in order to prepare you so that you can be ready to hire when you're good and ready is these 5. Okay. So number 1, and at the very end of this video, I will answer questions. So if you have them, you can add them below. Again, if they make sense to answer, because sometimes, y'all, I love you, but sometimes your questions are nonsense. And so I'm going to answer the questions that I feel like I can add the most value to, that are going to help the majority of the people that might be on this video live or on the replay. Okay, that's my prerogative. And the other piece is that I will also share the very first hire that I think makes the most sense for the majority of business owners, even though it might not be something that you have thought about hiring for. So 5 actions. Number 1, I want you to start tracking your time. Now, this is going to feel tedious, especially if you are a more spontaneous, creative sort of person. If you are multi-passionate, I get it. I really do. But if you don't know where you're spending your time right now and what that time is being used for, it's going to be very difficult for you to see a return on your investment when you hire, because you're going to have very unclear expectations and you're not going to know what they need to do with their time and how much time you're actually freeing up. Yesterday, I discussed the fact that most of the time, when we start to give ourselves time freedom, which real true freedom, not just financial freedom and making a lot of money, because some people are making boatloads of money, millions, and they're exhausted and they have terrible relationships with themselves and with others. Like, I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to live a dream life with a dream business and make a dream a reality. Like, that is 100% possible, but it might take you some time to figure that out and put the building blocks into motion so that you can actually have that come to fruition. Make sense? So you have to track your time. Now, how prescriptive? You don't have to be super, super detailed, but you need to be detailed enough that when you look at a week in your life, right, that you are not showcasing what you think you should have spent your time on, because that doesn't serve anybody. Nobody's going to look at this. This is for you. You have to be honest with yourself. And if you notice that you're spending hours, right? Like the first step, your phone is probably tracking some of the things that you're already spending time on. Start there, right? No judgment. So this is a no judgment zone, because the minute that you judge yourself, you're going to make yourself feel bad and you're going to stop. And the point of this exercise is for you to be armed with data, the research, the information, because if you don't have information, how in the world are you going to expect that you can make good decisions? A business owner looks at things through the lens of a scientist, right? Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know I match spirituality with strategy. We need to mix those two together. But until you have a sense of how do you operate, know thyself. And often we're just going around life totally blind, like spur of the moment. I'll just do this, I'll do that. Especially if you are more of a creative or a visionary, you're probably inclined to do as you're led or as you feel in that moment. Well, that's great to a point. But when you start to expand beyond you, that creates chaos and confusion. And God does not move in confusion. God is a God of order. And it doesn't mean that you're rigid or restrictive. It means that you have some loose parameters and some very clear boundaries and expectations that you can communicate to other people so that they can help you help yourself. Does this make sense? Okay? So you have to track your time. When I first did this, and I've done this inside of billion-dollar corporations before they started to automate any processes. This is back like 20 years, no, 30 years. This is the very first step that big companies do. So if big companies spending billions of dollars are doing this, why are we not doing this? Because success leaves clues. And these are simple things that you don't have to pay for. Like, this is free. It takes time though, right? It takes your effort, it takes your focus. So I would recommend that in order for this to feel as expansive as possible, as light, as freeing as possible, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable when you begin, because you're going to have to remember and remind yourself. So put a reminder in your phone that at least every 30 minutes, an hour, right, that you're going to document this. Put it somewhere, whether it's on your phone or a piece of paper, right, where you pass regularly. If it's going to be on your desk, because that's where you're doing your work from, great. Don't put it someplace where you're never going to see it, or you see it once a day or twice a day. That's not useful for you for this exercise. You're going to have it front and center. So every 30 minutes to an hour, you're going to document what that time block was spent on and be honest. Because again, nobody else is going to look at this. It allows you to see, where am I spending my time, right? And then some of those things, you're going to have the discipline to just cut them out. Sorry, not sorry, right? But if you don't know that that's what you're doing, then how can you fix it, right? You might feel like I'm the problem. Yes, I am the problem, but also you are the solution, which should make you feel very excited, because it means that you don't have to wait years, decades for this to go away. You have the power within you to now be activated and empowered to, here's what's happening. Here's a decision that I'm going to make as a result of what I'm seeing. Okay. So number 2, I want you to, once you've tracked, and I would say that you want to track at least a week so that you capture the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows that happen with business. And again, I don't want you to pick a week where you're like, oh my God, this is the worst week of my life, that you already know that you already have so many things scheduled. You're planning a new launch or whatever it is. Don't pick that week. Pick an average Joe week where you're like, if this was Groundhog Day, Groundhog Week, this is what my life looks like inside of my business. This is same old, same old. That's what you want to look at. Okay. The outliers, sure, you can track, but that shouldn't be the main thing that you're tracking. Capiche? Okay. Number 2, once you have this tracked, you're going to allocate a dollar value to each block of time, the tasks that you're doing inside of that block, because it will allow you to see pretty quickly, am I doing my $1 million CEO tasks, or am I doing the minimum wage grunt work? And if you're not clear on like what I mean by the money making things in terms of like how I want you to think about making more money using less time, I want you to go and watch yesterday's video, which is how to make more money with less time. Okay? Because that will help you. That will help you to understand how we want to think about the levels of making money. Because I haven't heard anybody talk about it the way that I talk about it. And so I think you should go and watch it. Okay, so allocate the, sorry, I have a piece of hair that's like tickling my head. So that was number 2, allocate the dollar amount. And you might think, I don't know how much to put. So here I want you to think based off of what you'd have to pay in order to outsource or hire help for those types of tasks. Okay, so the third step, you're gonna start to budget. Because now what you have is, I know how much time I'm taking. I know the tasks that these things take me, right? So time, task, and then dollar amount. So now we can just do simple math, okay? If you're spending 10 hours doing marketing and you don't want to learn more about social media marketing, then how much would it cost you in order to hire somebody to do the social media marketing? Now, there's different pieces of that, right? Do you want somebody to come up with the strategy? Do you want somebody to actually do the creative? Do you want somebody to create the content? Do you want somebody to just post what you already have created because you're okay with doing the creation part? Do you want somebody to make the videos for you? Like, what part of it is the thing that's tripping you up? Because there may be pieces when you outline it where you go, you know what? I actually like this piece, but I hate doing this piece, right? Like, I hate doing the video editing. Again, video editor, right? Versus social media marketer versus social media strategist. Virtual assistant will help you schedule. Do you see what I'm talking about here? So when you start looking at who do I need to pay in order to outsource this, what kind of help do I need? It's going to be based off of what are the tasks that you're finding are tripping you up, and what are the tasks that you're spending a lot of time on that will be better allocated or spent elsewhere. So then with the math in hand, all you're gonna do is you're gonna start to budget or allocate your money and start to put money as if you were already hiring that person. You're just gonna put it aside. There's 2 reasons to do this. Number 1, when you are ready to hire someone, you already have the money. I'm gonna say that again. When you are ready to hire someone, you already have the money. Paying people is one of the biggest expenses that you can have in your business. Your human resources, which includes you, includes your team members, includes any single contractor that you would hire, paying for the contractor is probably going to be one of the biggest expenses that you will pay on an ongoing basis to grow your business. And it is the number 1 thing that can make or break a business to be sustainable moving forward. In the year 2025, at the time of this recording, you can research this. There are hundreds of big box retailers and small ones that are shuttering their doors, which means that they're closing locations. You know why? It is because they have fixed costs, and the bulk of those fixed costs is the manpower required in order to keep those stores open. So if we look at the signals from the marketplace, building an online business, building a digital footprint is one of the least cost, it takes the least amount of money, the lowest barrier to entry, but you still have to pay yourself, but you still have to pay for people because people aren't going to work for free. And although it's tempting to believe that your technology, your tools are the biggest expense, as your business grows and scales, the percentage that you spend on your tech is going to stay relatively flat. It's not going to keep incrementally increasing, but depending on the business model that you have, your human resources, the capital in people that you have to spend may go up. And that's what you need to keep an eye on. The inconsistencies of an entrepreneur's income, feast or famine, up and down, because you don't always control how you get people in. The biggest stress that you will have as a CEO, as the business owner, as the founder for your company is going to be, how do I pay people? Especially when they start becoming on your payroll. Now, you can build a very, very successful business with just you as the sole, like, full-time employee, or not the employee, depending on the structure of your business. We're not going to go into that because I don't know where you're from. The legal and accounting parameters of that are completely different in every single region. So you're going to need to go and consult with an expert, but you don't necessarily have to have even an employee in your own business, even though you're getting paid from it. So you start to budget, you start to funnel and allocate money separate. If you need to, put a separate account and just make it like, this is for my video editor, this is for my social media manager, this is for my bookkeeper, right? Because maybe right now you're doing all the books, which is okay to a point. You're going to do this in advance because then, number one, you can pay for them. And number two, then you know what it feels like to pay for a team member, even if you don't have them yet. Because again, said fluctuations up and down, it is highly stressful when all of a sudden you've hired somebody, you don't know what to give them to work on, and you know that you have to pay them regardless. It creates a lot of panic. It creates a lot of anxiety. It creates a lot of stress. And there have been plenty of people that I have known over the last couple of years where they have grown and scaled very, very quickly, created bloated teams because they were told in order to be a successful entrepreneur, to be a CEO, you have to have teams. And so they've done it. And then they're like, oh, what do we all do together, team? What are we supposed to be doing? And then you, as a CEO, now become a big, giant bottleneck. And you start to hate your team. You start to hate your business. You get no joy or fulfillment because you don't have any freedom, because now you're putting out the fires from all of these people that are staring at you through the virtual doors of your hallway saying, what do you want us to work on? What do you want us to do? What can I do for you? How can I help you? And you're like, oh my God, just go away. Okay. So because you've done these steps, you're going to be in a much better position when, it's not if, but when you hire somebody to do the things that you no longer want to do and no longer need to do. You get to hand them off with power, conviction, authority, clear expectations, which means that they're going to deliver a better level of product or service for you and ultimately for your clients, because that's why we're doing this, right? To serve you so that you can serve your clients. So that's number 3. Number 4, I want you to research the people that you want to hire. Start looking for them. Start putting out feelers. Ask for referrals. Start having conversations. Just get a gauge of, do you even like this person? Is this somebody that you would want to hire? What is available out there, right? So you can look on a variety of platforms, Upwork, Fiverr, what are some, TaskRabbit, like your local neighborhood, people in your own network, Craigslist, anywhere. People are everywhere, right? People are literally everywhere. So the only limit to this is your imagination. But when you start putting out feelers, don't feel bad when you know you're like, ooh, like I'm not ready to hire yet, Susan. It's okay, because I guarantee when you prepare, you are already telling your future, because our preparation is prophetic. So when we prepare, we're telling our future, I am making a way for this to come to me. So I'm preparing for my business to be in a position where I have the people, I have the clients, I have the team, I have the ability, I have the capacity. Does this make sense? If you're trying to hire somebody when you are like, oh my God, my business went boom, it takes time to onboard. It takes time to hire. It takes time to find them. It takes time to vet them. You're going to shortcut some of these because you can't bypass a lot of this until the time when you actually are ready to hire somebody. But you can definitely make it simpler, faster, and easier so that way most of the decision-making process is done, which is ultimately the goal of the steps that I'm sharing with you here. So number 5 is then you decide when, at what point are you going to feel comfortable and confident that you can hire is that when you've had 3 months of, putting money towards hiring this person and feeling like, you know what, I haven't even noticed that money is gone, right? Is it once you actually start to realize, wow, there's a lot of time that I'm spending. And if I could hire somebody for X amount, then the things that I do well that are actually higher value, right? Because you can see the dollar amount that you're allocating towards the task and the time. I can actually take that and imagine if I only took 1, 2, 3 out of those 10 hours that I'm spending doing these lower level tasks for me, right? They're high level tasks for somebody else where that's in their zone of genius. That's within their unique skill set and the giftings that they have received. So instead of you doing this, right? Trying to force yourself to learn something and do it better when really you know enough. It's good enough to get you there. And now you need to redirect so that you can reallocate, recapture some of that resource, time, energy, effort, money, and now direct it here, right? This is how you transition. Because a lot of times people say, well, how can I afford to hire somebody when I am exhausted? I'm doing all of this. This is how you do that. This is a simple plan. Doesn't mean that it's easy, because it means that you have to have the discipline to do all the steps that I just outlined. And then when you make this decision in advance, because you're already going to say, okay, Susan, based off of this criteria, based off of my own data, not Susan's, not Jim's, not, Mod Org's, not anybody else, based off of your criteria, based off of your situation, unique to you and your values, the way that you spend your time, the things that are going to create the most lift for you, then you get to decide at what point will you make the decision, right? So does it have to be a timeline? Maybe that's your criteria. Maybe you decide, you know what, I'm going to give this another 6 weeks, and this is the benchmark that I need to hit in order for me to do that. It could be I need to have X amount saved in order to be able to afford to hire somebody, because now I've been able to see I can do this. It might be a number of different criteria. That's up to you to decide, but you have to make a decision. And then once you've made that decision, when that time comes, whether it's a date, whether it's a dollar amount, whether it is different criteria that you have decided are the key factors for you, then you have to remember that that is why you made the decision in advance. Because I guarantee that when you come to that, you are going to feel like you're being pulled in 2 different directions. And this guidepost of already making the decision in advance is going to remind you, you don't need to waffle. You don't need to make another decision. You've already decided. Now you need to step into that decision and take action according to that decision. And then you hire, right? And there's a whole separate, training on how to hire, how to fire, how to manage, how to lead. That's not the topic for today. So I'll give you the example. And although it's not directly related to hiring, I think it paints a picture of how difficult it can be to sometimes follow through with what we've decided when we are met with, here's what's happening, right? Because we get so used to how things have been and the anticipation of the journey to have the thing that we want, that when it's right there, you have to be able to step in and take it, right? There comes a point where it's there for you. You just have to take it. You've done all the work for it. Now you get to eat the fruits of your labor. So when I was early on in my career, this was before my husband and I were married. And truthfully, it was taking a long time, right? We were together for 6 years before we actually got married. And that's a whole other story. But anyways, I have always loved diamonds. Now, don't come at me for the material stuff. I'm not super materialistic, but I've had a fascination with diamonds. I've learned about diamonds since a very early age. I can see the imperfections in diamonds from the naked eye, which jewelers always, it kind of weirds them out, because I'm like, And for the record, I have glasses and I wear contacts. I'm almost legally blind. So for me to be able to see like the imperfections that would color grade or downgrade the clarity of a diamond is kind of unique. I don't know any different. So I had decided I'm going to save up to buy myself diamond earrings. I gave myself a budget, and slowly but surely, it took me over a year, right, to do this based off of where I was at the time. It was a pretty significant investment for me. And it was probably the biggest investment that I had made on something that was just for fun, right? Like there was no other purpose behind it. It wasn't going to generate me any extra income. It wasn't going to be an asset that would do anything other than give me joy, give me personal satisfaction. And so when the time came and we were on our honeymoon and we went into a jewelry store and I tried on a pair of diamond earrings and I could feel myself just like, oh my God. And then I realized, you know what? I have the money to buy these. I hesitated, okay? Because of what those diamonds represented. So don't allow yourself that once you have made the decision and the opportunity shows up, that you hesitate because of what that hire might mean for the next level in your business, whether it's growth or not growth. It means something different when you go from having 0 hires to 1 hire, right? That's not a 100% improvement. You go from 0 to something that is monumental increase, right? 1 to 2 then becomes easy because it is 100%. But when you have had 0 to have nothing to something is miraculous, right? It's miraculous to have something from nothing. And of course, that's going to challenge your beliefs and the way that you operated. It has to, because the way that you were before can no longer exist with you having the new thing that you've never had before. So the Susan who never had the earrings had to disappear. And the Susan who suddenly wore diamond earrings as like a normal part of life had to suddenly show up. And that felt very uncomfortable. It felt very uncomfortable, right? And so I share this, even though it's not a story about hiring, because when you have done all this work, that's why we decide in advance. That's why we make the decision before we're ready and before the opportunity presents itself. Because when the opportunity presents itself, you're going to be challenged and you're going to want to retreat and you're going to want to just say, you know what, it's not that bad. I can still do it. You know, that's a lot of money. Like all of these things that on real life paper, like I get it because I faced this too. But at the end of the day, the desire that you have of, I think I would like to hire somebody. I think I would like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever it is that you're doing, and you've taken the steps that are appropriate for you to have said thing, which in this case, we're talking about team members, then don't allow your pride, your remorse or regret, your fears, your worries, like don't let that stuff hold you back. Don't let other people hold you back, right? That's why these steps that I'm outlining for you, they're very practical. They are going to help you to actually get to a point where when you make the decision, which is now, that when the opportunity then collides with wherever it is that it's going to collide to in your timeline, right? That's where natural meets supernatural and goes boom. That's a kairos of God. Then you're going to be able to step through that door because you recognize the miraculous nature of, I have just gone from nothing to something, from 0 staff to 1, from not having a video editor to having a video editor, from not having somebody to help me with my admin to having an admin, okay? So I shared with you that I'm going to now tell you the very first hire that I think that you should have. Now, before I do that, I need to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence. As a business owner, the things that you, unless you are one of these 2 roles, that you will not have the level of expertise probably ever to be able to properly do it justice is legal matters, and your tax matters, okay? Because as far as I know, I'm a finance person, my husband's an accountant, but doing tax accounting is not the same as regular old financial accounting. And so those levels of expertise, you can get yourself in a lot of hot water if you try to make your own legal agreements. It's not going to work so well. And if you're trying to figure out your taxes, and business people, even if you're very, very simple, it's worthwhile to have that level of expertise in your back pocket. Now, you might not need to use them a lot. That's the point. But as your business grows and scales, do not skimp on these two critical people to have in your back corner, okay? Those I'm just going to assume you have, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention them. Make sense? Okay? So then we have, who should you hire? A personal assistant. Now, what does that personal assistant do for you? It depends. So if you're spending a lot of time cleaning your house, maybe it's a house cleaner, right? When I had my personal health journey, that was the first hire that we made for our family. Now, part of it was not necessarily to build my business, but looking back, I can see having that helped me so much. It gave me peace of mind. It allowed me to feel good about my house. It nurtured our family, and it allowed us to be able to do the things that was taking up a lot of time and effort and energy. And so while it may feel extravagant to hire some of these roles, I really want to encourage you to consider it, okay? Because I think it's really important. So let me just see. Any other questions? So I don't see any questions. If you have them below, please feel free to add them, because who was it? Ali was going to ask a question and I don't see anything. So this question, today's topic, was asked by one of our watchers, viewers, subscribers, members of our community, and that's Cool Goku. So Cool Goku, I'm giving you a shout out. This was for you. I hope that it was helpful. And I hope it was helpful for you, even if you're not Cool Goku, in order to know when you are ready to hire someone to help you to grow your business. So I'm not going to recap because there was a lot of information that I shared over the course of the last 47 minutes. Please make sure that you go back and watch, take notes, make sure that you do the work that I've suggested, because those 5 specific activities will help you. They will help you to get to the point where you can hire somebody, and that you know which of the hires, which hire would make the most sense for you and your business. Because again, it's a personal thing. I can't answer that for you. And you cannot bypass some of these steps. Certainly not the number 1 step, which is tracking your time. Okay? So, hello, Mod.org. Thank you. We will be back. I will be back tomorrow with another topic that will help you. So we'll see you then. Thanks. Bye-bye.